Okay. I'm actually glad to be here. It's actually my first talk at Amaze. I have been attending the festival for the past 3 years, and I was looking forward to the day when I can actually stand in front of 5 people and then just make a little speech. But first time, and I can't even count how many people are in here. So thank you for coming. So So my name is Kim. Well, the short version of it's just Kim. I prefer to use Kim because it's shorter for everybody to call me that name. But if you want the full version, you can actually have that one. That is Mukenge Kim Chulu Amina. I'm actually originating from Congo, the DRC. And I've just been living here in South Africa for some times. And I did my studies here in South Africa. I live in Pretoria, but I spend most of the time here in Johannesburg because it seems like this is where I can actually hang around with the other cool people who make games until I can also become cool as them. And I do other stuff apart from just trying to make games, trying to inspire people. So I co-founded some other companies. So I'm an entrepreneur and I deal mainly in technology, specifically mobile applications. And I also do UX and UI as a consultant. And yeah, I also got a chance to win boring awards there sometimes. And that's me on Twitter. And this is one of the games that I worked on while still working on it. It's currently on HIO, and you could actually find it there if you go have a look. The name is Armel, and the game is all about just being on a music sheet. So you are this musician, and you end up being shrinked on the music sheet, and you're now experiencing the composition that you've actually made. So you now basically that little character in the music sheet. Basically, that's what it is. So it's mainly graphical. It's mainly to try and bring a little bit of a style to it. No crazy mechanics if you're into mechanics. So it's just as simple as it is, and just trying to just casually entertain you on that. And so I'm basically just getting review, getting people's feedback, and see how the game will actually do. It currently have about 20 levels, and they're just all unique levels, and it's just all about music and how you can express all of that. The next one that I'm currently working, it's an educational game, and this one, it's just all about, it's a puzzle, words, so you actually click on a specific point, and to move forward, you actually have to you actually have to put a sentence properly. So it's got a lot of other stuff that actually come into it. So you determine how you will be moving forward in the game by how you actually construct a sentence. If you have, so it's a little worm, and if like the eagle wants to eat it, you need to be able to construct the sentence properly, which is the negative of just being eaten, and then you actually can continue and move on and just escape. So these are basically the kind of simple games that I make, and the company that I run is just called Kimard Studio. And today I was asked to, well, I submitted for this talk, and the talk is all about Africa, right? And I'm sure we're all from Africa, yeah? Yes, no, sometimes, when there's no war. Well, where I'm from, I'm glad to be Congolese when there's no war, and when there's war, I can easily say I'm from South Africa sometimes, and I can try and speak a little bit of the languages here. So, well, just the greetings. But the other days, I'm actually South African, and the other, well, during the holidays, that's when I'm just back as Congolese. That is happening mainly because, I mean, I'm trying to make fun of the situations back home, and I'm not trying to be crying all the time of the fact that when I meet up with some people and then I ask them, have you been to Congo before? And they're like, where exactly is it on the map anyway? And I'm like, okay, did you do geography at least at school? Because I'm not sure if you did. And if they have done a bit of geography, it seems like it's very much influenced by what the media would actually give to you, which is, oh, that country where there's always a war. Like, have you guys had peace before? So it's usually that kind of talk that you would actually have with people. But I'm not going to be sitting there and crying about the fact that they remember the country as a country where there's war, because obviously that's the only thing that you can see on the media, on social media and everything. But then how do I try and change that perception? Or how do I try and take the sad moments and try to bring a little bit of fun into it? And you would actually see that happening as well with the country where we are right now, which is South Africa, for those who don't remember. We have a few issues. We have a few political, problems, and we see comedians trying to take those topics and make it something that is more of an entertaining. They take it from a serious side and bring it onto an entertaining side of things. So they use that to actually entertain people. They use that to make fun of people. To make fun of the situation and to allow people to just laugh about the situation and not just put yourself into that that aspect of just crying about everything that's happening, right? Some of us enjoy that. Some of us go and watch Trevor Noah and we laugh about what it does. But everything that is literally done is taking something that is serious and then convert it into a fun aspect and try and have people laugh about it. And that's basically what we know, or for those who watch comedy. So now what I looked at is, okay, but then how many of us are actually trying to do that with games, right? And in a way, it's that you sit, he's talking, and you don't have much to say. The only thing you can do is just laugh about it, right? But then when you play games, there is interactivity that happens, and you have people actually engaging. So how do you now give power to people to also be able to contribute and bring in a little bit of the fun aspect to the specific situation? It's basically like taking Trevor Noah and then the entire audience goes on stage with him, and then they also have to make jokes about the same topic, which you're not going to get all the time. But then when you think about that, you have that big country that we have. I mean, I call it a country. Well, it's supposed to be a country. Well, it was probably a country a couple of years ago. But the whole continent that we have there, it's a very interesting place. And we have 54 countries, plus 2. I made sure you have the plus 2 there for those who also did not do geography like the other people or the history. So the plus 2 is the other countries that, still, I'm not going to go into that now. You will actually go check that. But there's a bit of a fight to actually try to get the other countries which are supposed to be part of Africa, but they are being considered as not part of Africa yet, and all of those things. And when you look at those numbers, and it keeps on growing, because now you have plus 72 main languages, like the main languages in each and every countries in the continent, and that means there are a lot more other languages. For example, when you look at Congo, where I'm from, you have more than 200 dialects in the country, right? So you have more than 200 ways of people communicating or sharing whatever they have to share with each other. And that means it actually keeps on growing and growing and growing. And obviously, we have also a lot of problems, right? When you think about it, we have a lot of problems in the continent, but we could actually find another way to actually share those problems or to talk about those problems. And that is what the talk is all about. So with those problems, we also have stories, and we have a lot of stories. So how do you tell those stories? What do you do with those stories? We have quite a few of them. And this is where I actually came in with the little concepts that I've had, especially being in the country here. And I'm only basing all the contents based on the issues that we currently have. So it's not a focus on what are the good parts of Africa, because we also have a lot of them. So it's looking at what are the issues, and then what can we do with the issues? How can we convey the issues in a playful manner? So that was the whole plan. That's the whole thing about it. And now you think about how will you express, yourself with all the issues that we currently have. How do you allow people to express themselves? When you actually have to watch the news, you have the news being transmitted to you, and all you do is just a passive person who is just sitting and just receiving. So all you do is just receiving. But then we've got other media, other ways of actually allowing people to contribute. Well, obviously you have social media, but then the other ways, the other interactive ways of just contributing, and not contributing saying that I'm choosing a political party, but contributing in a way that, okay, I want to have a little bit of fun with this. So what can I do with this? So some of the issues that we have, and I'm sure all of you know about those issues, poor governance, corruption, unemployment, population growth, insecurity, drought and famine, and so many others. So I didn't mention all of them. I'm sure all of you also know about other issues that we currently have. And what would you actually do with this, right? And most of those, when you think about Africa and when you read some of the reports that the World Bank provides to us, you actually see that it all talks about poor governance, and it all talks about corruption, which starts from the top and all of those things. So all those people who are just there and not doing what they're supposed to do, and at the end, at the bottom, we all have issues and we all have complaints and all of that. So you look at a country like South Africa, which is still better because you do have opportunities to actually speak. You can freely speak, you can say what you want to say, but you also have to be careful about how you say it, because there's still sensitive people, sensitive bodies that you would want to say it in a way that it at least makes sense, right? So you at least still have freedom of speech in this country. When you think about a place like Zimbabwe, where it's not as good as you would actually think it is this side in terms of freedom of speech. When you think about a country like where I'm from, do not even try and speak. Like, just keep quiet and move on with your life, because the moment you speak, tomorrow we don't know where you are anymore. So you have those things, and those things are actually serious issues. They're true, they really exist. And the reason why I actually ended up being proposing for this talk is because I made a quick game this one time, which I will actually tell you about now. And when I had interviews about that game, I was asked, even my parents, they would actually call me because I would send the link to them. I'm like, it's cool, it's nice. Let me send the link to them. Let me show you what I'm doing. By the way, when I did my studies, I did multimedia and graphic design. And my dad never knew what I was doing until it came to the graduation. We don't have graphic designs. We don't have multimedia specifically there. It's not really called multimedia that side. But every time he would come for holidays, he would always ask me, so what are you doing again? And I'll tell him I'm doing multimedia and graphic design. And I would do it on purpose so that I don't have to go deep into it. And he's like, okay. But he never really got it until he actually ended up being in a situation where when I called him for my graduation, and he's like, oh, okay, so this is what you do, you can graduate from what you were doing? And I'm like, yes, I can graduate. And then a few years later, I went, and then I had an opportunity to go to Ethiopia. Then I went to Germany. And he's like, so do graphic designers go to other countries from that as a job? I'm like, yes, because back home, if you do something that is called graphic design, what you do is you paint on the wall. Like, you literally have to write the name of a shop on the wall, right? That basically graphic design. Well, clearly that will never take you to another country from back home. So he would obviously be worried. And the game happened to be on the Sunday Times and on Sunday, and then I sent the link to my brothers and then everyone else. And they were just all worried because they were now like, okay, so what's going to happen? What if the president get upset and then he comes and then you have to actually be taken out of the country and all of that, and you know that you're actually foreign, so you're not from this country, so it would be easy to be taken and all of that. And I told them that, okay, wait, guys, I'm not as big as yet, so I'm still a small fish, so they will never even find where I am. and it's just going to happen. But the worries that they have is because of the history and because of understanding how our country and how it works in our country, how things are that side compared to how things are this side. So this side is still fairly cool that you can make a painting of the president and showing his part and you're still alive. That side, I think your kids and grandkids would probably never see the sun. And these things are actually real because they do not take it seriously. They call it being a democratic country, but it's not. So the way you actually also have to speak about these issues needs to be very careful, right? So when you talk about all of these, when you look at all of these, what I decided to take care of is poor governance, because that's where everything happens. So all the things that you see there, they always blame poor governance for all of that. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, fortunately, because I think that if Zuma wasn't the president, some people would have never been good comedians as they are right now. So the same way, if Donald Trump was not a president, some people would have never had a job. So we just look at what could actually be the thing we can use and we use it. It doesn't mean that we hate the person, but we're just using it because it's actually the main character of the movie. It's just the guy. So, we just do that. So that's when I actually ended up having this game that's called Tricky Jacob. And it's a mobile game. It's a game that I had just made quickly in 2 days. Thought about another concept, another game concept, and then I just put it with what I had with the whole issue that we had. And the game was just during the time when they had, I think people had a march in Pretoria, and they wanted the president to step down. And I'm like, okay, so this is actually a good time to try and do something and gain some free publicity. Anyway, it's free, so let me just get that. And I just made the game, and the game is just about the president, you trying to actually, you trying to, what do you call this again? Have him step down. You basically doing your part, but at home, because the reality is that he wasn't going to step down. Has he stepped down now? No, he wasn't going to. So the game is just portraying what exactly is happening, but it's a way of having you use your frustration, because you'll be on the streets, yes, but then after being on the streets, what happens? What do you do after that? Nothing. So take it home, use your phone, and then do whatever you want to do, and then realize that you just went outside, you did sweat, and then afterward you can just laugh about it, because unfortunately, it's what it is. So the main thing in the game was just to take some characteristics of the president and then just put it in the game. And those characteristics are like his historical laugh. You could actually hear it when you lose. You actually hear him laugh. And how he actually coughs. So I ended up having it there, and then 2 weeks after it was put on the store, it had basically less than 20 downloads, because it was just friends. And then Sunday Times ended up landing on it. I don't know how. And they called and they're like, we would like to do a story about it, because it's actually funny how people can actually do these things to try and send a message and to try and have people interact with that message. And I'm like, okay, cool, you can do that, but I'll be anonymous if I can. And they're like, well, you don't have to. You can just say your name. So I used my full name. All I did was just change the order of it. You see how long it was? I just changed the order. The last one, I put it here, the one in the middle, and then I just made a mess out of it so they can't find me. And the game was there, and after it was on the Sunday Times, a week later, I checked, and then it was already ranging beyond 400 downloads, just for the sake of it. And I'm like, oh, anyway, it's just what it is, but it's a medium. And that's when I actually got to realize that there are a lot of these kind of things that we can actually make, as long as you are not insulting a person. as long as you're not doing something that could actually put you in danger, because the whole thing, it's got nothing to do with trying to have the person killed or trying to have the person insulted. It's just all about how can we take that specific situation and make fun of it. But the reality is that even in the game, I actually had to tell people that you cannot have him step down in the game. You cannot make him fall in the game, because he does not fall in real life. So it's basically just a mirror of what the reality is. So people will just play it and play it and play it, and they would end up being in this situation, and you would actually not actually have him step down. Sorry. Then you have this other one which you currently work on, which is Picasso. This is actually based on the actual painting. You remember there was a painting that has been made about the president, but then when you do that, you as the artist, you're only painting it and then having people have their opinion about what you painted. How about you give them the opportunity to actually also paint their own, make their own painting, and then get scores for that. So that's basically what this one is about, which is just one of those things that we're just working on. And the moment it's done, we'll just see if we're gonna get arrested for that. But I mean, at least I would have not been the one who's actually painting him naked. It will be people that would have, because they are the one that painting it. We're not painting. All you have is just the head, and then the rest is you just paint it whichever way you want, and then you just share it on social media. And this is just the ways that we are actually trying to express ourselves and letting people express themselves, because this interactive media allows people to express themselves, express the current situations that they have, and express how they feel about the current situations in a safe way and in a more interactive and fun way. I think I've ended. Thank you very much. If you have any questions,